Starbucks.
Hi everyone, my name is Jena Apgar with Brand.blog, and today we are here with the Business Growth Network and David from Robert's High Performance.
Yeah, that's good.
With the Vision Challenge, and this is day 2, and we've asked the question: if anything were possible, what future could you imagine? So just to kind of reiterate, this is an email series, a 10-day challenge that goes out through the Business Growth Network. And today is the second day, and we've asked the first question, why, and we're on to the second one. And if you're not getting your emails, just make sure that you go in there and that you whitelist all emails from both Jena Apgar and David Roberts and Business Growth Network. And make sure they're not going to your spam box. You might check your promotion folders if you are a Gmail user. So we were going through this, and we've seen a lot of your answers, and they've been great for the first question, which is why. We've got like a lot of mission statements, we've got a lot of taglines, and we've got a lot of, why are you in your business? And very kind of surface level answers, which is great, and it's a great place to start, and that's the only way to start, is by scratching the surface. But the overall outcome is to try to really dive deep into what makes you the most wonderful you possible. What is it that you can offer that no one else can offer in your industry, in your business, and why it is that you really, really, really do what it is you do. And we've noticed there's some confusion where the question why can kind of be confused with, what would you do if anything were possible question. And just wanted to sit down with David and kind of get some questions out. And I guess we'll just start with, how did you come up with the question?
Well, actually, the question was, as I was trying to get my head around, and I was working with one of my mentors, in fact, a key mentor, a guy by the name of Woody Buckner, who I've grown to love and respect. And Woody was helping me through this whole process myself. I've actually gone through this journey of anything were possible, and we're trying to design this for everybody. So thank you for joining us on this journey. I'm actually taking the journey again myself. So the question of, if anything were possible, what kind of future could you imagine, initially evokes, well, I could imagine a lot of things. I could imagine a lot of possibilities, and especially as we start to break it down and really look at a future that just doesn't include your business. One of the things in the responses, and by the way, Karen and Esther and some others that have actually engaged already with the why and gotten in there with us. One of the things for sure is, on this journey, and you can get behind, you can have a busy day, right?
Oh yeah,
but
you will.
But if you just disengage, or you just kind of gloss over one day or another, you're not going to get the full benefit. This is a journey. So each email may seem different, it may seem disconnected, but really there's a method to our madness, right? I mean, there's a point.
At the end of the challenge, you really will have a very well laid out strategy moving forward for your business and your own personal future for you and your family.
Right. And so the difference really is why we came to the why first, is because that's one that I'm sure most people who've really tried to think about what they're going to do, whether it's a vision statement for a corporation or whatever, is, why are we in business? What is my mission? What do I want to do, right? And so that's one that most people have answered already at some point in their lives. I noticed in one of the responses it kind of looked like the ad from their company, and that's, again, it's fine. That's kind of what we're kind of programmed to do. But this part, and I will tell you, I want you to, one of the reasons why we're doing a Facebook Live here is, as we talked about it, this is the most important underpinning theme thread that runs through literally every section that we're going to go through from here on out. And at the end, we're going to come back to this, because I think you'll find through this journey that this is going to evolve. Your thinking is going to evolve. So do the best you can with what we have today. But suffice it to say, this is normally, when I've done this with business owners and CEOs, and it's normally kind of a one-to-one process. So kind of embrace this in that way. It is iterative. It is a what's called a Socratic type of inquiry type of process. So if you have questions, reach out on the Facebook page to Jena or I or both. or to just the group. So do that. But really, we're going to try and come up with a word picture that evokes a picture in your mind of what a complete and clear picture of your future that you would desire looks like. It's not my future, it's not Jenna's future in terms of what we would desire. It's your future, your dream story. So that's what we're going to try and get out of this journey. We're going to start it here today.
And if you're following along with the emails, you'll notice each individual email, you can write these answers down in a personal journal. You can write them down. The first time I did it for myself, I did it on my iPad in the notes section. But we've also included some very editable PDFs where you can just click and start typing right there in it without any additional special software. And especially for today's email, that will be especially true because there's a lot of different questions that are really minor and really quick that you can just click through that will help you really kind of pinpoint very specifics about what it is you see for you in your future. So I think a good one place to start would be, if anything were possible, what kind of future can David imagine?
Well, that's actually a really good question. I have a lot of aspects to my future. Obviously, you may think, okay, well, I want to have, like one of the examples we use here, most people kind of go to money. Okay, I want to have a big pile of money in the bank, and I want to have this kind of, like we said here, be on a yacht. That was kind of where Jenna's mind went, so we kind of know what she's thinking. But the reality of it is, if anything were possible, to me, it revolves around my time. It revolves around, and money is an enabler to that time, but I want to be spending my time in a way that really in the future, that the things that I'm doing can reach millions of people to help them achieve the dream that they have. So part of why this is a passion project for me in this Business Growth Network and creating a network of people who are helping other people is that I really want to see that future where I'm healthy. Okay, I talk about I want to have my six-pack back. Not that I necessarily ever had one. I just didn't have, as much surrounding my skeletal frame as I do now. But and I want to have, obviously be healthy. I want to see, my children thriving and growing. I want to have a happy marriage, and everybody that I love and care about, that I'm not only seeing them be healthy, but also having a lot to do with that, and that things come, and I'm spending time really on creating a legacy. I mean, again, I think I shared it last night on my why, but maybe it's because I'm now looking at the end of the road a little more than I did when I started, when you thought that the road would never end, right? Is that now I'm thinking about, okay, what exists after I'm gone? And I want to be able to impact not only my kids' lives, but I have grandkids now, I want to impact their lives, and then generations to follow. So whatever I'm spending my time with as we go forward is making a difference. And that's in general. It's not that specific. I mean, I could get into all the little details, and that's what I would challenge you to do. But then you get to those details and you kind of see that picture in your mind, and then you build it up so that when you have a rough day,
it's just one day.
It's just one day.
It's not.
And it's one day on a journey to this place that you're dreaming and thinking about. And that's what gets you over the hump. I mean, because starting a business or restarting a business or change is tough, right?
It is. I know personally, I think the couple of years that I found that I was the most productive, that I was able to achieve the most success towards very definitive goals, is I sat down with a checklist and I was like, what exactly do I want?
Right.
So I am historically and natively very much an introvert who does not talk and make friends easily. And one of my goals
We're a
was...
lot alike in that respect, right? No, actually, I'm the furthest thing from an introvert, so...
Well,
anyway.
most people would not know that because of this year that I made this goal.
Sure.
And I was like, how do you define that? Because I do believe in having goals that are very definable, that you can make very definitive, like you've done this X amount of times, that you can measure, not just that they're quantifiable goals.
Right.
And so what does an extrovert do? Extrovert has lots of friends, they see people, they go out a lot. So I challenged myself, so I broke that down and said, every month I need to go out someplace outside of my house to a party or an event or a networking event at least 2 times a month. and that I wanted to grow my LinkedIn contacts from, I think it was like 23 to hit 500, which
Right.
is when it stops kind of counting. And so over the course of the year, I would go through and I would measure these two little metrics. And at the time, my LinkedIn was all people I knew, just strictly people I knew. Facebook wasn't quite as evolved as it is today, so that one wasn't a great metric. But I did that, and now I'm well over 500 contacts. I go to far more than 2 events a month easily, and can walk into a room and know how to socialize. But those first few times, you're walking in and you're awkward and you don't know anybody. But you have to force yourself to make contacts, and you learn things like going a little early, staying a little late, when there's not as many people, and it's easy to get to know people. And by the end of the year, you've now accomplished that goal, but you had a very definitive goal. It was measurable, definable, and you could break it up into little bitty goals. And so it was easy to far surpass that goal because I knew a clear definition of where I wanted to be, was more extroverted, with a greater network, with more friends.
So you had to apply that to kind of our thought process here. So you had a bigger picture of becoming more extroverted.
Yeah, this was only one tiny piece.
But you had a bigger picture of one aspect of that was to become more extroverted, and that's one of the keys here. Is that as you
Connecting.
Okay, sorry about that. We disconnected for a second, but gave Jena a chance to drink her tea, and I've been sucking on my Frappuccino. By the way, we're at Starbucks, so we're doing an advertisement for Starbucks here. But anyway, what I was going to say is that it's really difficult, and most people think of things. One of the things I want to challenge you to do in this process, thinking about what Jena was talking about, is one thing is you're not going to travel from where you are today to this future state that we're describing overnight.
No.
And unfortunately, that's the biggest trap you will fall into as you try to embrace this question of if anything were possible. You might think, oh, I understand. It makes all kinds of sense to me. I can't get to the future in one leap, right? But your mind starts to say, well, here's what I've done in the past. In fact, consultants will come in, and this is one of the things that was an aha to me, is I worked, in a consulting company. I was a partner at a company that's known for consulting, and
Big
they're
businesses.
big businesses, and they're no different than others. And people spend millions of dollars to hire consultants to tell them how to get to a goal.
Lot.
And it's an ongoing process. And you say, well, why is that, or how come they have to keep spending this money? If they did it right, they'd only have to spend it once, right? Well, the reality of it is this: they come in and they say, okay, let's collect all the data on what you've done in the past, right?
Yes.
And then let's analyze that and see, okay, where are your strengths and weaknesses based upon
What you've done.
The past, right? And then let's look at, okay, what's your current operations? What are you doing? What's your business? Who's your clients? We analyze all that.
And they spend months doing that.
And millions of dollars. The months translate into dollars, right? So millions of dollars to do that. And then they say, okay, now let's set a target. And the answer on the target can be either what do you want to achieve, or if you're hiring an expensive consultant, they'll say, well, this is the best practice in the industry, right? And I only tell you this because this is an individual journey we're talking about here. But you know what? That makes all kinds of sense to you and me. That's the way our mind works. We have this past, present, future mindset. Whenever you set out to say, okay, if anything were possible, what would the future look like? You know where you go? You go to what you understand or what you've seen in the past.
Well, I thought one of the best quotes I've ever learned when I was younger is you can only live a life that you know.
Right.
So if you don't know something, you can't even think it possible.
Right. So that's the thing is, if you're imagining a future that you never believed to be possible, then you're getting close to answering this question properly. Because the reality of it is, do you think Walt Disney, in his vision of which came first, his experience with building Disney World or Disney World, his vision of the possibility of Disney World? It actually, the latter. He actually had a dream and a vision.
And he funded it other ways.
Yeah.
Until he got there.
But guess what? How can you align people or lead people or actually accomplish the impossible if you don't even see the picture of where you're going, right? How can you get people energized? Not only how can you keep yourself going through the rough spots, but how can you get other people energized if you don't
Not
have
just clients,
a clear picture?
Your family.
Yeah.
Your family needs to be on the same path with you.
Yeah, your wife. I don't know if Cheryl's watching this, but your wife. I mean, your husband. John. If somebody's watching this, they want to know, right?
They do.
What it is. Where are you going with this? Because especially if it's change, right? Because the thing is, when you're doing something different, when you're going to transform your business, and you've got a whole team of people, or you've got customers who are used to seeing you one way, and all of a sudden you're going to go into another, you got to have a pretty good story, right?
It is, and it's kind of like a rebranding picture.
Yeah. No, I mean.
And by the way, everything what we're doing here is going to create a fresh rebranding for you and your business. It will all culminate in that fresh brand, not just your business brand, but your personal brand.
Right. I mean, the thing is, but see, people want to get to, the mechanics are always, how you ultimately craft and then define and get it down into something that you can share, whether it's a business plan or a presentation, a roadshow, or whatever. Those things people can tell you how to do. But how you actually get to the place where you are articulating and expressing to the people you encounter a very heartfelt, passionate dream story of where you want to go
Which
with
is
your
how
company.
they connect.
Right.
I mean, they don't connect to numbers. They connect to how you make them feel.
Yeah.
And if you feel passionately about who you are and who your business is and where it's going, your customers will be attracted to that. And that is what is going to make all the difference in you being able to start at point A and end up at your final future vision.
Sure. And I mean, Jenna's exactly right. And the reality of it is that until you really have that. But how do you do that? If you're sitting,
be honest.
Yeah, you have to be honest, you have to be transparent, and you have to be comprehensive. A number of times in this letter we said this is comprehensive or complete. You say holistic.
Yes.
What does that mean? What do those mean? The reality of it is, and I think when I was doing the thing at Richardson Plano Networkers, I even talked about this.
Yes, you went over it
and when we
much
look
more
at the
completely.
holistic picture, you have to realize that your story and your dream story of the future can't just include your business.
No.
It can't just include your money. It can't just include this aspect or that aspect. It has to be holistic. So you have to think about this, because guess what? If you work all the time on your business,
You will not be healthy.
you'll never be healthy. Because what did I have to do before we did this? I had to work out, right? Because I'm committed that piece of my future vision is going to hopefully stay intact. I'm going to work out. I'm going to try. Well, I drank a Frappuccino, I have to confess. That's not very healthy. So, but it sure tasted good, and it keeps my energy up.
See, my excuse is the tea is healthier than Coke.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. So anyway, so having that holistic picture, and it's not just about money. It's not just about that, but and looking at it in a way that you're looking at that future state. Where I was going with the past, present, future is what we're going to talk about is, and again, I'm going to use Woody Buckner again because this was part of my journey. This is why I started Robert's High Performance. This is why I ended a relationship with one company and started a different one. All these things in my story kind of go back to my aha moment, my if anything were possible thought process that Woody stimulated. And
By the way, thank you for giving credit. I'm sure he appreciates that.
Yeah, no, I mean, he probably doesn't even realize how much of an impact he's had on my life, but a lot of things changed because of him. And it's a guy that I would recommend anybody get to know. But that being said, he made me realize that the only clarity I really had was not when he said, here's a past, present, future. Where do you have clarity? My answer was, and I'll confess, I'm not even going to ask you the question, Jenna, because my answer was wrong, and I'll tell you, my answer was, a past, right? I have total clarity on the past. I saw what happened. I know that happened, so I have clarity, right?
That's a good answer.
It's
fair.
Made sense to me. The answer is that's totally wrong. The only place, because see, even though it happened, I don't always understand why, and I don't always go back and know all the factors that made it happen, and so I don't really have total clarity. And what's happening today, think about the exponential change we're experiencing, millennials, mass market movements, mobility, genomics changes, geopolitics, all the things in the political spectrum, what's going to happen, how is it going to go? I mean, all these
sorts of levels,
yeah.
lots of gray space.
So there's so much change that really knowing how to move forward, or outthinking the future, if you will, as Woody would say, is impossible. And so the only clarity you can really have is to do what we're talking about here, embracing this, if anything were possible, what could I imagine? And get clarity, because you know what? Clarity on that is totally possible because you get to define it. And once you get to define it, then sure, you'll refine it.
And you should, like
move.
Once a year. I'd like a total refreshing.
Yeah, in fact, I would say, at least once a year, kind of revisit it and say this is, because guess what? What we really want to do is get you on a bridge, not to the future, but from the future.
So building the bridge backwards.
Backwards, right? Because what we will do, if you continue in this journey with us, even beyond the business challenge, the idea is to go through this, define that future state as best we can, and it's not mine, or remember, it's your future state. Then,
I've heard salespeople, they like to break this down. I know I'm personally horrible at this aspect of sales. They don't like to talk about, how many sales or leads or whatever you need a month. They say, what do you want for the year?
Right.
So let's say you want an income of $100,000, just to, simple number. Well, breaking it down, like how much is each sell worth to you? And obviously most people have different types of products. So deciding, how many products does it take to equal that $100,000, and then dividing that by 12.
right.
And kind of building the bridge backwards, not from one step to the other. Because if you look at it as, I need to sell, 1,000 different products to get to that final state, that can be overwhelming.
Right.
But if you can divide it up into 12 and say, oh, well, I only need to sell 10 this month, and I need 12 of these next month, and that makes it a lot easier. And then you can start building the marketing program you need to hit that budget.
Right. And actually, that's a very good point, because when we talk about, and I'm going to draw my terrible graphics here.
Don't forget to show them.
I'm going to show this to you on the screen. I'm drawing it right here. And this is really creative. You're going to really be amazed at this. But right here, this is a chart, and it's probably backwards on it.
I got it. You talk.
It's probably backwards here, but it goes. The start is at the lower point, and then the future is up there. Okay, so that was really, wasn't that exciting? The reason why I put that is because the way you get up that curve is once you understand what your target is, what that future target is, then it's a series of very small actions. Jeff Olson wrote a book called The Slight Edge, which is basically
Now, is this the game of life?
No, this is just a guy locally here who wrote. There's a book, very short book, one that I would highly recommend to people. Is called The Slight Edge, and it basically, he talks about the difference between success and failure. Whether your future goes like this, goes up, or whether your future goes down like this, is an accumulation of easy to make decisions of either doing the right thing, working out every day, and the cumulative effect of that versus that. So, but to know that those are the things, and for that to become a habit, you really need to kind of appreciate what it's going to get you, and you want to be able to do it because.
So our emails are written that way.
Right, exactly.
So if you'll notice when you read down the emails, there's like the long, lengthy explanation. But at the very bottom, it just says today's goals and breaks it down very simple. 1, 2, 3. I'm a big fan of having 3 very specific goals that you crush in the morning. You just get them out of the way really quickly. You don't put them off. So at the very bottom of each email is the top goals that you have to complete. They're really simple. And if you can accomplish just those 3 top goals every day, you will move forward in life.
Precisely. So what are we moving forward from or to? However you want to look at it, but actually it's from. So the future is this. What the process is once you've defined that clear future, then we're going to start to seek alignment around that. We're going to work our way back. We're going to
define alignment.
Okay, alignment is basically getting. You can't get anybody. I can't make you have my dream.
No.
I can't make Cheryl, my wife. I can't make her have my dream. I can't make my kids have my dream.
Not for lack of trying.
Right.
Sure.
I would love to be able to just superimpose my dream and my journey on everybody that I care about, so they'd all just be in lockstep with me. But the reality of it is that's not the way it works.
I'm sure John could appreciate that.
Yeah. So the point is that as you're going through this, you really need to understand that the best you can hope for is people not accepting or even agreeing, but aligning with your vision, your
Kind of
journey.
like running parallel, aligning.
And supporting. So for example, if you're running a company, now I know a lot of people that are listening to this are maybe small business owners, or maybe you're thinking about big, but to get people to go on the journey with you, each of them in your organization, even the most loyal and key people in your organization, they have a dream that they're moving into. They may not understand it, they may not have defined it, but they're moving in a direction as well. So you want to align your paths to where they can support you, while at the same time know that they're supporting their own dream story, their own.
Which means they
vision.
need one.
Right.
So if you're like the husband or wife, you need to have your spouse do this.
Right.
Older children, business partners, anyone who needs to be in alignment with your dream needs to have their own dream story.
Right.
So as part of the worksheet and some of the questions, it was asking where it is you want to be. Like, we're sitting here in Dallas, Texas, and I thought really long and hard about Dallas, Texas. It was not an accident. I am terrified of earthquakes on the West Coast and terrified of hurricanes on the East Coast, and I hate cold, so Dallas works for me. But my husband loves mountains. If I had to pick another one, it'd be a beach, except for those pesky hurricanes. So Dallas works for us, but our alignment doesn't necessarily work up. Now, Dallas does end up working because this is where his business is. This is where I've built a business, although mine's fairly mobile. And then we just take turns visiting mountains and beaches.
Sure.
But that vision has to align. If somebody wanted to live in the mountains where it's cold and your spouse wants to live on the beach and be 80 degrees every day, that's not going to work, and that will create conflict.
Well, interestingly enough, let's use that example. I love that example because here's the way you achieve alignment, and here's how it kind of works out. So then when you're kind of tweaking or envisioning together where you're going, you need to think, okay, in order for me to have a happy marriage,
which is
important.
That's
it's part of your
it.
dream, right? In order for us both to have the environment or the geography that we both would really be our dream story, maybe what we need is two places. And so, but in order to have two places, as you walk back down that dream or that vision of the future, you walk back, you need a little more money. You need a little more
not always
real estate. Or
not always.
Yeah.
You can then start exploring inexpensive real estate.
Right.
So we have inexpensive real estate in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's easy to find inexpensive real estate when it has no electricity and no water.
Sure. So the point is, if you weren't seeking that alignment around known, clear
goals,
visions of where you want to get to, then you may go past each other. You may cause problems to where the relationship part of your total picture is in disarray, and that will impact other aspects. How much time you have on your business, if you're always having to spend time fighting with your spouse or fighting with your family.
I don't think anybody has a good work day if they just had a major argument.
Right. So the point is, that's why the holistic picture is critical. And the thing is, one of the things we really seek is that you break the bonds of the past, because you'll never get to that place where visioning the possible or impossible as possible if you only set your sights based upon what you've already achieved or what you've seen in the past. Some people are constrained by, I know I am. So I know people on this journey with us are constrained by, okay, I tried that in the past and it didn't work. You ever had that one?
But that doesn't mean
Right.
it can't work.
It doesn't. But that's a limitation, because you're looking at your path. Oh, I saw this person do it and they failed, and I didn't like the way people treated them, so I'm not going to do that.
You may not even know
Right.
that you don't know. So I think of someone, I was just watching the documentary 13th, and
Right.
you're looking at very impoverished families and neighborhoods. If you've never even thought to own a home, like if you've only ever rented and thought yourself possible of renting, the idea of owning two homes seems infinitely impossible.
Sure.
But you've never even thought of it was capable of owning one.
Right. So, I mean, the thing is, we are all limiting. So to say that your vision is not big enough is not my place to say. I'm looking at my own self and saying, okay, well, maybe my vision or my dream isn't big enough. That was one of the realities or realizations that I had. I mean, I left the corporate world at a place where money wasn't the issue, and there was a lot of other things, and I wanted to accomplish with my time and stuff, but I kind of lost track of, okay, so what do I want to have as a legacy? What does I really want to do? So we tend to start settling or getting comfortable at whatever place, even if it's a place in your life that you're at that you're uncomfortable with, or you don't really want to be there, but you know what it looks like. Does that make sense?
It does. I think the first time you were mentioning at the beginning, the first thing I thought of, there's a book called, I believe, Richistan, and it discusses wealth.
Right.
And at each level of wealth, when you are, let's say you have $100,000 total or less, that you're only thinking of, the next day ahead or the end of your life.
Right.
When you start to think middle class wealth, or low level millionaire, you're only looking at your life and your children's life.
Sure.
And then when you start talking multimillionaires, now they're looking at your grandkids, and billionaires stop even looking past that, and they start looking at hundreds of years from now, what kind of legacy will I leave? What will my money be worth? So it can be really limiting, I think, if you just think in your own little bubble. That's kind of your scope, is you're only looking at so far down the line. You're only looking towards your kid's college, and that's kind of like the cutoff. Your dream going to be bigger than that.
Right. Well, and the thing is, it'll never be bigger than that if you're always bounding it by your past experience. The thing is, if you want it to be as big as it can be, and that's what we're pushing for here, and that's why I say, let me tell you what we're not saying, because that's a good way to illustrate what we are saying. And what I'm not saying is, tell me what you can see you achieving based upon your past experience. What would be possible if...
You're not saying that.
That's what I'm not saying. So what we're not saying is, tell me what you can see yourself accomplishing based upon your current frame of reference. If you have that, then your answer is not going to be as good and big as it can be. It could be. So the reality of it is, what you should be saying is, if the words are, I always say the words are intentional here. If anything were possible, what kind of future could I imagine? Imagine is the word, because it doesn't mean, there's no
financial, no physical limitations, no geographical limitations. I think it reminds me, there's a veteran who is a quadriplegic. They've lost all 4 limbs, so he has nubs. That's it, and he is on the conquest to climb all 7 peaks. I can't remember the top peaks, and he's done it. And now he takes other veterans who are only missing like 1 limb of each one of these peaks. And how can you say, with you're missing 1 leg, I can't climb Mount Everest when this guy with none has already done it?
Well, and that's interesting. That's a great point, because that's why a lot of times we need mentors, or we need somebody who's already gotten to, once we figured out what our bridge from the past is, then finding people that have already further along that way, that you can look towards that, or look towards that vision of the future then and see people up there.
Everyone says find a mentor, and I find that to be almost laughable.
Yeah.
Like, what is a mentor, and how do you find them?
Well,
It's not like they're hanging out there like, I'm on the mentor list.
What I find, and again, I don't know that this is an area where everybody that's been a mentor in my life has generally been somebody that I have encountered through what I would call a divine appointment, where we met each other through some kind of networking. That's why I'm such a big believer in networking.
You go to several.
Yeah, and I literally network every day. I mean, I actually know. I mean, and you know how. I mean, I actually meet 40 to 50 new people every week.
Every week.
Every week.
New ones, brand new.
People I've never met before. Now you want to
get my game now.
Now, Yeah, I'll share if you keep watching these videos. At some point, I'll share with you how I do that. It's really easy, but you have to be committed to it. So I'll share with you how to do it. But I'm not going to spend the time here. But so anyway, those people that are on that bridge from the future can be mentors. And the thing is, how do you find a mentor? First of all, you got to know where you're headed. And you got to be able to definitively and recognize that those people are on the way. Guess what? Mentors like Woody and like other people that have come into my life, and even me, is if I want a mentor, somebody wants me to help them, is they want to leave a legacy. They want to sow into. They want to teach you what they know. Just like the guy with the quadriplegic wants to. Once he's learned that he overcomes something, he wants to share it with somebody else, because then you can multiply the blessing that you've achieved by getting to that point. It's the same thing with, I don't care whether you're Bill Gates or who you are, there's this desire that you have to kind of pass on to your kids, pass the torch, teach other people what you already know.
Now, I did ask somebody, I went to the Women's Glow Summit.
Sure.
Was it the week before last. And I asked this question of someone else, because everyone says, go find a mentor. And somebody asked, well, if I want you to be my mentor, how do I do that? And almost universally, every woman that I asked this, and every woman at the Glow Summit was hugely accomplished. They've all done things that you would not even think possible, wouldn't even come up into your normal. It just, kind of like you said, divine appointment, something happened and they rose to that call of action. But they all said that you had to be really dedicated. So if you send them one email and they don't respond, you have to realize that that person's very busy.
Sure.
And by being that superhuman person that they just skip over things, email is hard. But you have to be dedicated. You have to really want that that specific person to be your mentor, to reach out to them on a regular basis. Hit them up on Facebook, on email, on Twitter, just LinkedIn. Find them everywhere. Connect with them and continue to reach out and be a pest, so that they know that you are truly dedicated in your mission and that you are worthwhile. Actually,
that's perfect, because that's exactly when somebody comes to me and says, can you help me, or do you want to do this, that's exactly, I actually a lot of times won't even respond to the first request intentionally, because I want to see how serious they are. In fact, when I'm meeting these 50 new people a week, not everybody do I resonate with or think that there's value, but if I do encounter somebody, I will give them my card. You know this.
Yes.
I will give them my card and say, are you on LinkedIn? Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Sometimes they'll say I'm on Facebook or Instagram. It doesn't matter, but okay, so this is my email, that's my real name, that's my cell phone number on that card. Reach out to me on that card, and
hi, Melanie.
Hey, Melanie, welcome. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, and if you connect with me and remind me how we met and tell me what you want, then we'll set up time. And it's a lot of people will reach out to me on LinkedIn, and that's all I hear from them. Some people will reach out, they'll email me. Some people will just keep bugging me, and those people that keep, reaching out and saying, yeah, I want this. This is what I'm looking for.
So you don't see them as pests?
No, no. In fact, if that's kind of the price of entry. If I really want somebody to help me, because see, the thing is, like you say, they are busy. They are already successful in their own right. And not to say that I'm anything special, but I'm just saying they want to know that you want what they have. The other thing is, once they do start giving you advice, like we're doing here, by the way, we want to see, we're investing time and energy, and this isn't costing you a dime other than your time. All we're saying is, when we say ask you to do something here, on this thing, when Jena sends out these emails and asks, that's what we want to see, is actual doing what we're saying. Not only is it going to benefit you, but it tells us that you're serious about being on this journey and that you really do have a dream story worth pursuing, and we want to be part of that, right? I mean, I want to be part of anybody who's moving forward. I don't want to sit around, because you're helping me on my journey too. Because remember, my journey is to make a difference, make an impact millions. But you start millions with one, right? And then you start one by multiplying. So anyway,
we haven't even hit lunch yet, Melanie. We're still on coffee.
Yeah. So anyway, but we're having fun.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap up. The question for prompt for the Vision Challenge Day 2 was, if anything were possible, no barriers, no limitations, what kind of future could you imagine? So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to either ask below on this Facebook Live video, or you can go to the Vision Challenge engagement group, where it is a closed group, so no, your whole group on Facebook is not seeing it, it's just inside that group, and we will be there to help you all day, every day throughout this challenge. Either call us out directly, or we're just going to see the post pop up. I get a notification on my phone. Feel free to email us out directly, just respond to any of the emails. If you're not seeing something, again, just come over to the Vision Challenge group and let us know that you're having issues. And remember to turn your notifications on for the Business Growth Network. You just hit that you like the company, hit it again, and go down and turn notifications on for Facebook Live. And these will pop up every time you have a question. So if you have any questions, let us know. Reach out to us, and we want to hear all of your dream stories. We want to hear your future visions in detail of everything that you can dream possible, and then some. And don't forget to hashtag it, make it public, Vision Challenge and Day 2.
Great. Just one last thing, and that was a great wrap. All I want to say is these questions on the email, I just printed out the email one, but I do read it on my computer usually, but I was having it here for reference. Those are tended to be prompts, and it's really important for you to kind of try and answer those questions as they fit in, but that isn't necessarily your dream story. That's just to prompt you to be able to answer that question that we want to see the post on in the on the Facebook group.
And keep posting your visions, your answers, and let us know how it's going with hashtag Vision Challenge. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.